Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As he stepped in front of the bathroom mirror, a transformation unfurled, unveiling a secret locked away for decades. Brown locks cascaded across a worried visage, their eyes betraying a furtitude ever watchful of the door. The alien touch of silk, crimson like the most exotic of blooms, hung uneasily over a frame accustomed to a simpler embrace. "One time," he pleaded with himself. "Just a glance." Stepping cautiously into his mother's chamber, Kai Morgan heard the tick-tock of a world unknown. Her closet, a gateway, unveiled a realm beyond the mundane, a realm of texture, color, and fluid movement. Among the array, that scarlet garment beckoned, its perfumed collar and olfactory allure, whispering secrets as it encompassed him. Before the mirror, Kai experienced a profound, unsettling, yet exhilarating sense of belonging. The silk against his skin was unlike anything he'd worn before. The sound of the front door opening downstairs shattered the moment. "Kai? Are you home, honey?" His mother's voice carried up the stairs. Panic surged through him. The book club never ended this early. He fumbled with the buttons, his fingers suddenly clumsy. "I forgot my reading glasses," she called. "Just grabbing them and heading back out." Footsteps on the stairs. Kai's heart hammered against his ribs as he tried to pull the blouse over his head, tangling himself in the delicate fabric. The bathroom door opened. Time seemed to crystallize in that moment. Kai half trapped in red silk, his mother's reading glasses perched on her head, her mouth forming a perfect O of surprise. "Mom, The explanation died in his throat. What could he possibly say? Patricia Morgan stood frozen in the doorway, her hand still on the knob. Her eyes moved from Kai's face to the blouse and back again.
"I'm sorry,"
Kai managed to whisper, shame burning his cheeks. "I didn't mean to. I was just—" Patricia's expression shifted, softening in a way Kai hadn't expected. She stepped into the bathroom and closed the door behind her. "You've buttoned it wrong, honey," she said quietly. Of all the responses Kai had braced himself for, anger, disgust, disappointment, this simple observation left him speechless. Patricia reached out, her hands steady as she unbuttoned the blouse and properly aligned the fabric. "There," she said, turning Kai toward the mirror again. "That's better." Their eyes met in the reflection. Kai saw no judgment in his mother's gaze, only a quiet understanding that made his throat tighten with emotion. "How long?" she asked. "Always," Kai admitted, the word barely audible. "But this is the first time I've ever actually—" Patricia nodded. "The blouse suits you. The color brings out the warmth in your eyes." A tear slid down Kai's cheek. "You're not upset?" "Oh, honey." Patricia wrapped her arms around him, the silk rustling between them. "The only thing that upsets me is thinking about how long you've kept this hidden. How afraid you must have been." "I didn't know how to tell you," Kai whispered. Patricia stepped back, her hands resting on Kai's silk-covered shoulders. "Would you like me to help you?" "Help me?" "Figure this out. Explore this part of yourself." She smiled gently. "I have pretty good taste, if I do say so myself. And I've always wanted someone to shop with." Fresh tears welled in Kai's eyes. You'd do that for me? For you? Patricia touched his cheek. I'd do anything for you. You're my child. Nothing changes that. The book club forgotten, they sat on the edge of the bathtub talking until evening settled around the house. Kai spoke of feelings he'd buried since childhood, of the disconnect he'd always felt between his inner self and outer appearance. Patricia listened, asked questions without judgment, and finally suggested that perhaps this weekend they could go shopping together. Really? Kai asked, hope blooming in his chest. Really, Patricia confirmed. We'll start wherever you're comfortable. No pressure, no timeline, just exploration. Saturday dawned bright and clear. Kai woke with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation churning in his stomach. His mother had suggested they drive to a mall in the next town over. For privacy, she'd said, understanding without being told that Kai wasn't ready to be seen by anyone who might recognize him. Patricia knocked on his bedroom door at 9. Ready to go, honey? Kai opened the door, dressed in his usual jeans and navy button-down. As ready as I'll ever be. I brought you something. Patricia held out a small makeup bag. Just a few basics if you want to try. Inside was a tinted moisturizer, a neutral eyeshadow palette, and a soft pink lipstick. I thought maybe I could show you how to apply them, she offered. Nothing dramatic, just enough to soften things a bit, if that's what you'd like. 30 minutes later, Kai stared at his reflection in wonderment. The changes were subtle, a slight definition to his eyes, a hint of color on his lips, but the effect was transformative. What do you think? Patricia asked, watching his reaction.
I look like me,
Kai said, touching his face in wonder.
a version of me I've never seen before.
The mall was an hour's drive away. They spent the journey talking about everything and nothing, carefully avoiding the butterfly nerves that fluttered in both their stomachs. Where should we start? Patricia asked as they walked through the entrance. Kai hesitated. Somewhere quiet? Patricia nodded in understanding. There's a small boutique on the second floor. The owner is an old friend of mine from college. She's wonderful, discreet, and kind. The boutique was exactly as Patricia had described. Tucked away in a corner of the second floor, its window display featuring flowing dresses in soft fabrics and muted colors. The bell above the door tinkled as they entered. Patricia Morgan, as I live and breathe! A woman with silver-streaked black hair emerged from behind a rack of cardigans. It's been too long! Hello, Eleanor. Patricia smiled, embracing her friend. I'd like you to meet my child, Kai. Eleanor turned to Kai with a warm smile. Lovely to meet you, Kai. Welcome to Elysium Boutique. Eleanor, Patricia said, her voice dropping slightly. Kai is exploring some new aspects of self-expression, and I thought your shop would be the perfect place to start. Understanding dawned in Eleanor's eyes. Without missing a beat, she clasped her hands together. Well, you've absolutely come to the right place. Why don't we start by discussing what styles you're drawn to, Kai? The next hour passed in a blur of fabrics and colors. Eleanor pulled pieces that complemented Kai's coloring and build, offering suggestions without presumption. Patricia sat in a comfortable chair near the fitting rooms, ready to offer opinions when asked, but giving Kai space to discover preferences independently. This pastel cardigan would look gorgeous with your complexion, Eleanor suggested, holding up a soft lavender sweater. And it pairs beautifully with this flowing white skirt. Kai ran his fingers over the cardigan's knit texture. Could I try them on? Of course. Eleanor gathered the items and led Kai to a spacious fitting room at the back of the store. Take your time. I'll be out front if you need different sizes or styles. Alone in the fitting room, Kai's hands trembled as he removed his jeans and button-down. The white skirt slipped over his hips, the fabric whispering against his skin. The lavender cardigan followed, its softness enveloping him in a gentle embrace. Turning to face the mirror, Kai gasped softly. The person looking back was both familiar and foreign, recognizable features transformed by flowing fabric and soft colors. Kai? Patricia's voice came from outside the fitting room. How's it going in there? Kai's voice caught. Would you like to see? The door opened slowly. Patricia stood there, her eyes widening as she took in the transformation. Oh, she breathed, one hand rising to her throat. Oh, honey, you look beautiful. The sincerity in her voice broke something open inside Kai. Tears spilled down his cheeks as he turned back to the mirror.
I feel beautiful,
he whispered.
For the first time in my life.
By the end of the afternoon, they left Eleanor's boutique with several carefully chosen outfits, 2 floral dresses, the lavender cardigan and white skirt, a pair of slim-fitting jeans designed for a feminine silhouette, and 3 blouses in varying styles.
Thank you,
Kai said as they walked back to the car, shopping bags swinging between them. For today, for everything. Patricia squeezed his hand.
This is just the beginning, honey.
The following weeks established a new routine. Weekends became sacred time for exploration and discovery. Patricia taught Kai the basics of makeup application, showing him how to accentuate his features without overwhelming them. The secret, she explained one Sunday morning, demonstrating with a fluffy makeup brush, is to enhance, not mask. You have beautiful bone structure. We're just highlighting what's already there. They visited different stores each weekend, gradually building a wardrobe that reflected an emerging identity. Patricia never pushed, always following Kai's lead, offering suggestions only when asked. One rainy afternoon, browsing through a department store lingerie section, Kai paused before a display of lacy undergarments. Would it be strange if I... He gestured toward the display, unable to complete the question. Patricia shook her head. Not strange at all. Feeling beautiful from the inside out is important. They selected several sets of matching bras and panties in silky fabrics, adding them to their growing collection of purchases. At home, these new garments remained hidden in Kai's room, worn only behind closed doors. Each evening, he would change into one of his new outfits, practicing makeup application and becoming more comfortable in this evolving identity. Have you thought about a name? Patricia asked one evening, watching Kai apply mascara with increasing confidence. Kai's hand stilled. A name? Only if you want to, Patricia clarified. But sometimes a name can help us embrace who we're becoming. That night, lying in bed surrounded by darkness, Kai considered his mother's question. Names held power, the ability to define, to establish identity. The right name could feel like coming home. The name came to him just before dawn, emerging from dreams filled with sunlight and open skies. Reagan. It felt right, strong yet feminine, distinctive without being ostentatious. At breakfast, he shared it with Patricia. Reagan, she repeated, testing the sound. It suits you. It really does. I'm not sure if I'm ready to use it outside this house, Kai admitted. But here, with you. Then Reagan you shall be. Patricia smiled. Whenever and wherever you're comfortable with it. Their weekend shopping expeditions continued, now with renewed purpose. Patricia helped Reagan select clothes that not only fit properly, but expressed a cohesive style. They added accessories, delicate necklaces, small earrings, clip-on at first, and finally, shoes. Heels are an art form, Patricia warned, watching Reagan wobble in a pair of modest 2-inch pumps. Start low and work your way up. Reagan laughed as she clutched a rack for balance. I've never appreciated your grace more than I do right now. They practiced at home, Reagan walking up and down the hallway in increasingly higher heels, Patricia offering tips on posture and balance. Smaller steps, she advised, and remember to place your heel down first, then roll through to your toe. These quiet moments of instruction and discovery became precious to them both, strengthening a bond that had always been strong, but now deepened with shared vulnerability and trust. 3 months after that first day in the bathroom, Patricia knocked on Reagan's bedroom door one Saturday morning. I have something for you, she said, holding out a garment bag. I saw it last week and thought of you immediately. Inside was a baby blue sundress with delicate white embroidery around the hem. The fabric was lightweight cotton, perfect for the approaching summer, with a fitted bodice and flowing skirt. It's beautiful, Reagan breathed, running her fingers over the embroidery. I thought, Patricia said carefully, that if you were comfortable, we might go out for lunch today, somewhere nice, to celebrate how far you've come. Reagan looked up sharply. Out? As me? As Reagan, Patricia confirmed. There's a lovely restaurant by the lake, about an hour's drive from here. No one would know us there. Fear and longing warred in Reagan's chest. The idea of being seen, truly seen, in public was both terrifying and exhilarating. What if people stare? She whispered. What if they say something? Patricia took her hands. Some might. I won't lie to you about that, but I'll be right beside you, and anyone who can't see how beautiful you are isn't worth our concern. Reagan looked at the sundress again, imagining herself in it, not just in the safety of her bedroom, but under the open sky in the light of day. Okay, she said finally. Let's do it. The preparation took longer than usual, each step weighted with significance. Reagan showered, taking time to shave her legs with careful precision. She applied lotion, reveling in its floral scent as it absorbed into her skin. Makeup came next, a natural look, but with special attention to detail. Foundation smoothed over her skin, concealer hiding the shadow of stubble that persisted despite her increasingly diligent shaving routine. A touch of blush brought warmth to her cheeks, while mascara lengthened her lashes. The sundress slipped over her head, settling against her body as if made for her. White sandals with small decorative flowers completed the outfit. Standing before the full-length mirror, Reagan barely recognized herself. The brown hair that once lay flat against her head now fell in soft waves around her face, thanks to Patricia's patient styling. The sundress accentuated her waist, while the skirt created the illusion of hips. Reagan? Patricia called from downstairs. Are you ready, honey? Taking a deep breath, Reagan picked up the small white purse Patricia had given her last weekend. Coming! Patricia waited at the foot of the stairs, dressed in a complimentary outfit of cream linen pants and a pale green blouse, Her gasp was audible as Reagan descended. "Oh my goodness," she breathed, eyes filling with tears. "You look absolutely beautiful." Reagan reached the bottom step, suddenly self-conscious under her mother's emotional gaze. "Do you really think so?" "I know so." Patricia reached out to adjust a strand of Reagan's brown hair. "My beautiful daughter." The word daughter sent a wave of warmth through Reagan's chest. It fit in a way son never had, settling into place like the final piece of a long unsolved puzzle. The drive to the lakeside restaurant passed in comfortable conversation, though Reagan's hands twisted nervously in her lap as they approached their destination. "We can turn around any time," Patricia assured her, noting the anxiety. "This is at your pace, always." Reagan shook her head. "No, I want to do this. I need to." The restaurant was elegant, but not ostentatious, its large windows offering panoramic views of the sparkling lake. The hostess greeted them with a professional smile. "Table for two?" she asked, gathering menus. "Yes, please," Patricia replied. "Something with a view, if possible." "Of course. Right this way, ladies." "Ladies," the word echoed in Reagan's mind as they followed the hostess to a table near the windows. Such a simple word, yet it sent a thrill of validation through her. As they settled into their seats, Reagan noticed a middle-aged couple at a nearby table glancing in their direction. Self-consciousness flooded back, her hand rising instinctively to her throat. "They're admiring your necklace," Patricia said softly, recognizing the anxiety in Reagan's eyes. "It catches the light beautifully." Whether this was true or merely a kind fiction, the words helped Reagan relax. She took a deep breath and opened her menu. "What looks good to you?" Patricia asked, maintaining a flow of normal conversation. By the time their meals arrived, grilled salmon for Patricia, chicken piccata for Reagan, most of the initial nervousness had faded. Reagan found herself able to enjoy the moment, the delicious food, the beautiful view, the simple joy of being addressed as ma'am when the server refilled her water glass. "How does it feel?" Patricia asked as they shared a dessert of tiramisu. Reagan considered the question, searching for words adequate to describe the complex emotions of the day. "Like breathing underwater and flying at the same time," she finally said. "Terrifying and impossible and yet somehow completely natural." Patricia reached across the table to squeeze her hand. "I'm so proud of you, not just for today, but for having the courage to be yourself." "I couldn't have done it without you," Reagan said, her voice thick with emotion. "Most parents wouldn't. They wouldn't understand, let alone help like you have." "Well, I'm not most parents," Patricia smiled. "And you're not most children. We're just us, figuring things out together." On the drive home, Reagan watched the scenery pass in comfortable silence, processing the day's events. Something had shifted. A barrier crossed. A threshold passed. "Mom?" she said as they neared home. I think I'm ready to be Reagan all the time." The words fell into the space between them, momentous, yet spoken quietly. "Not just at home or on special outings. Everywhere." Patricia nodded, her eyes fixed on the road ahead. "I thought you might be getting close to that decision. Have you thought about what that means practically? Work, legal documents, telling people?" "Some," Reagan admitted. "It's overwhelming when I think about all of it at once, but staying as Kai feels impossible now, like trying to wear clothes I've outgrown." Then we'll take it one step at a time, Patricia said as they pulled into the driveway. Make a plan. Tackle each piece as it comes. That evening, they sat at the kitchen table with notepads and laptops, researching the process of legal name changes, gender marker updates on identification documents, and workplace anti-discrimination policies. Your company has a surprisingly comprehensive transition policy, Patricia noted, scrolling through the employee handbook Reagan had downloaded. Have you thought about how you'll approach HR? Reagan nodded. I've been working remotely most days anyway. I thought I might schedule a meeting, explain the situation, and then use some vacation time during the initial transition period. That sounds sensible. Patricia made a note on her pad. And what about friends? Family? Reagan's pen stilled above her paper. That's the part that scares me most. Uncle Robert, Cousin David, they're not exactly known for their progressive views. No, Patricia agreed. They're not, but you might be surprised. People can grow when someone they love is involved. And if they don't? Then that's their loss, Patricia said firmly. Your worth isn't determined by their acceptance. The next weeks brought rapid changes. Reagan scheduled a meeting with her company's HR department, where she was met with unexpected support and practical assistance. The transition plan they developed together allowed her to begin presenting as female at work gradually, beginning with remote days and progressing to in-person meetings as her comfort level increased. Legal documents followed, a court date for her name change, visits to the DMV and Social Security office, updated banking information and email addresses. Friends received personal calls or visits, their reactions ranging from immediate acceptance to awkward confusion that eventually resolved into support. Family proved more mixed, as expected. Some relatives embraced Reagan without hesitation, while others maintained a distance that ached but didn't surprise. Through it all, Patricia remained a constant presence, advocating when needed, stepping back when appropriate, always providing a safe haven at home. 6 months after that first afternoon in the bathroom with the red silk blouse, Reagan stood in her bedroom, preparing for a milestone, her first day physically present in the office as herself. The brown waves of her hair now reached past her shoulders, styled in a professional but feminine cut. Her makeup routine had become second nature, a daily ritual that grounded rather than stressed her. She chose her outfit carefully, a teal blouse that emphasized her eyes, a black pencil skirt that flattered her figure, and modest heels she could comfortably wear all day. Patricia waited downstairs with coffee and breakfast, just as she had throughout Reagan's childhood before important days.
The proverbial first day of school,
Reagan joked as she entered the kitchen, though her smile didn't quite mask her nervousness. You look perfect, Patricia assured her, handing over a travel mug of coffee. Professional, confident, and entirely yourself. Reagan accepted the mug gratefully. What if it's awful? What if everyone stares or whispers or... Then you'll come home, we'll order takeout, watch terrible movies, and try again tomorrow. Patricia interrupted. But it won't be awful. Uncomfortable moments, perhaps. Awkward conversations, certainly. But your worth and dignity remain unchanged regardless. Reagan nodded, drawing strength from her mother's certainty. I'd better go. Don't want to be late on my first day. Patricia walked her to the door, adjusting the collar of her blouse in a gesture so maternal it brought tears to Reagan's eyes. My beautiful, brave daughter, Patricia said softly. I am so very proud of who you are. The words wrapped around Reagan like armor as she drove to the office, repeating in her mind with each anxious breath. My beautiful, brave daughter. I am so very proud of who you are." The office building loomed ahead, its glass facade reflecting the morning sunlight. Reagan parked in her usual spot, gathering her courage before stepping out of the car. The weight of what awaited, colleagues' reactions, potential discomfort, the 100 small interactions that made up a workday, pressed against her chest. But beneath that weight lay something stronger, the knowledge of who she truly was. Not a disguise or a performance, but her authentic self, finally visible to the world. Taking a deep breath, Reagan smoothed her teal blouse, checked her reflection one last time in the rearview mirror, and opened the car door. "One step at a time," she whispered to herself, echoing her mother's wisdom. "Just like we planned." The click of her heels against the pavement marked a rhythm of progress, each step carrying her forward into a life aligned with her truth. Behind her lay Kai, a shadow gradually fading in the light of day. Ahead stood Reagan, emerging into the fullness of herself. As she reached the office doors, Reagan paused for a moment, her hand resting on the handle. The reflection in the glass showed a woman with brown hair and determined eyes, poised on the threshold of a new beginning. "Ready or not?" she murmured, and pulled the door open. The rest of her life waited on the other side. Not perfect, not without challenges, but authentically, undeniably hers.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!